Welcome back to another episode of Unraveling the Brain. I'm your host, Dr. Josh Matson. Today, I got a super exciting one for anyone that has a child struggling with cerebral palsy. We have a great interview today of Dr. Loren chatting with a parent whose child has been struggling with motor challenges from cerebral palsy, and they're wanting to share their experience with you guys. So, if your child has this, or you know someone that has cerebral palsy, send them this podcast. Maybe it'll give them some hope. Maybe it'll give them some guidance and, help them along their journey of helping their child to heal. So enjoy. Let's jump into the episode.
All right, welcome back to Unraveling the Brain. I'm Dr. Loren Liming. I am here with the Sanders family. They brought the most amazing little girl to us. For the last 2 weeks, we've had the wonderful opportunity to work with her. A diagnosis never defines anyone, but I wanted to bring you guys on because we're working through some challenges related to cerebral palsy, and we see a lot of kids with cerebral palsy, but we really don't talk a lot about it. And I really think that our modalities really help support these kids. And I really want to get your guys' perspective of your goals, why you came, your background and everything. She's made a lot of progress these last couple of weeks, so I want to chat about that. And she's just like the most fun kid to work with. Like our whole team that's been able to work with her, Dr. Tess, Dr. Matt, Allie, her Abby, myself, like everyone is just like all about her. So thanks for bringing her, giving us a chance with her, and thanks for being willing to come on here and just chat about your experience. I know when you came in, most goals related to movement, and that's like right up our alley, just like sensory motor-based therapies. Movements ultimately controlled by the brain. When we have injury in that area, like we have to work around that. We have to develop through those stressors. So tell me a little bit about your goals for the week, what you've seen, what you've tried so far, what's been successful for her other than just here. So like just like big picture of families with kids with CP, like what can they do outside of coming to Infinity? What's been helpful? Fire away, guys. Let's hear it. Put you on the spot.
That's a lot. Thank you. She loves her doctor friends when we come, so she loves being here. I think what brought us was just we had tried a lot of different things. So we had tried the traditional PT, OT route. She has her neurologist at home. We seek chiropractic care, and they were all just very siloed. And so one thing we loved about you guys is you kind of incorporate that all under one roof. So you get that whole picture of Kinley. And I think we were seeing her progress at home on her own trajectory, but just saw in Kinley the potential to be and do a little bit more and just weren't quite reaching that. And about this time last year, her neurologist looked at me and just said, well, Mom, she has CP. I was like, and? I was kind of waiting for and it was just kind of this, you need to just wrap your arms around this is Kinley's trajectory. And we just kind of knew in our hearts that she just had the capability for more. And so that set us on the path to kind of find you guys in something different. And so she's been doing like hippotherapy and some equine things, just trying to find different modalities to help support her body. But here has really just made a night and day difference in 2 weeks that I don't even know if I can put into words the growth we've seen and just what seem probably like little things to most, but just her balance and her coordination and the way she takes up her space in the world is just so much more fluid. Going up and down stairs without the handrail, just these goals that she's had for years and years that we've not been able to gotten so close, but not been able to tackle with traditional therapy.
Her body's catching up to her personality.
It is. Well, she went down the stairs in our house we're renting here yesterday, and she goes, my body just can't keep up. Like she wasn't using the handrail, she wasn't doing anything. She was just flying down the stairs. And as she's getting older, those are things she notices and her peers and things too, and she's really wanted to work on. And so I think she feels this newfound confidence too in herself leaving here.
For sure.
But yeah, I don't know if that answered that.
I think that's the biggest, like for me, we have these goals like, motor planning goals and things like that we establish at the beginning of the week. But I think the biggest thing as a parent is just her pride and confidence that she has kind of just seeing that spark and that increased confidence it does mean more than the motor goals. And those are great and those are things, but it's just like that part of things really, really hits home.
Mm-hmm. And she sees that at the beginning of the week. I mean, she hung on the rock wall and just screamed and couldn't move. And now she goes down the entire thing. And that's all she talks about all night. Remember when I went down that rock wall? She goes home and calls Grandma. I went across the entire rock wall. Did Mommy send you the video? So to us, we know it's the motor planning and the skills. But to her, it's just that pride and confidence.
Yeah, the ability. And the kids will take their week, their 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever that, and just build on it. So when you hear, oh, she has CP, well, yeah, well, now what can we do? Like
Right.
what's helpful?
Right.
And so just like the appropriate stimulus, working through primitive reflexes, working through, activating these balance centers. There's ways to develop the brain, especially in a young child.
Yeah.
Like they have so much potential. She has years left of developing new tracks and
Absolutely.
new networks within her brain, and all kids do, and really the earlier the better with anything. But a diagnosis should not hold someone back. Like it's something that
Right.
you need to work through, be aware of, but
Yeah.
like what can you do to support that? And so you've done these segmental things, and they've all added up. They've all been beneficial for her, and so it's not like anyone's wasting time or their efforts
Right.
on any
Right.
other therapy. But when you can just target those things and really keep them fluid and dynamic, and be able to address them as you see them, and just build through skills within a short period of time. For like lack of a better term, I always say this is like a slingshot for kids. Like right now, Friday, week 2, we're back here. So like over the next couple weeks and months, like that's just accelerated
Yeah.
for her, and especially in a kid, especially in a young kid, especially a young, driven, bright, beautiful young kid, like that just has like
Yeah.
parents and goals and like the love that kids need to thrive. Like that's gonna all take her wherever she wants to go.
Yeah, we were saying that last night. Like, I'm excited to see how she uses this out in the world. Like, we've seen it kind of here, and we've been in the playground a few times, but it's been freezing
Yeah,
because
it's
we haven't been out
horrible.
much. But she, like, even just like jumping from rock to rock at the playground and not hesitating to really plan and focus and just freely moving about, um, just feels good. And we can't wait to see her like use it out of here.
For sure. And once reflexes are integrated, once the brain's more efficient, everything's more therapeutic. So when she goes and plays, she just has better control. It's just it's activating her brain in more cohesive, synchronous ways, and then everything just builds and builds and builds. And so it's fun to be a part of that for any kid. And I told you last Monday, like motor goals, those are my favorite. They're tangible. We can see them change. They're directly related to what we're working on. Like a kid that's so cognitive, that's so engaging, and like we can do any activity, and she's trying her best, she's focused, she's putting in effort. That makes it so therapeutic. Like her willingness to participate, her cognitive ability to participate, and just like the support you guys provide, and like her social abilities, being able to engage with her therapists and docs, like everything just stacks up in her favor. And let's touch a little bit about what we did, like what you saw here, like what was different about this place. And because like you've done chiropractic, like
Yeah.
adjusted her,
Yeah.
we've seen that restore some movement abilities for her, and that's foundational for body awareness and body control. What else have you seen? What kind of crazy things do we do here?
Yeah.
We've seen all kinds of things, but all that we had kind of through your guys' literature and different things like read about and understood the potential that it could provide for Kinley. And so seeing it in action has been really cool. I think the lasers are just fascinating. We're excited to continue that work when we get home of just kind of rebuilding and providing that energy to her body. You guys have helped us learn a lot about just her diet and her daily habits that can help us fuel her body better. Um, the oxygen, I think even just the way you guys make it engaging and fun with the different activities and games. I also just love how fluid it is that you're not just adjusting, like you see her kind of stuck doing an activity and you're like, hang on, let me look at that. So we're in the moment, in the activity, in the growth, just kind of adjusting and fixing as we go, and really appreciate your guys hand over hand kind of showing us then some of the techniques that you use that we can easily implement at home to continue um, some of those things. I don't know.
I think one of the things that's been really cool to see is like the compounding of different therapies. So like I was
Yeah.
talking about this with a friend at work, and I was like, if you just walked in off the street and saw Kinley in action this week, you'd be like, what is going on? Because she's doing this and this and this and this
Yeah.
all at the
Yeah.
same time. And, I described like the first day here, we did like the video game, which, worked on her, perception. And then you guys had the lasers, and she was on a balance beam at the same time while doing
With the
oxygen.
headphones.
And with headphones, it was like 6 different things were going on at the same
Yeah.
time. And I was like, you would just be like, what the heck is going on? But then you like look at it and you guys describe it and explain like each piece of it so well. And it's like, okay, I see how this all comes together at the same time to work multiple facets of and her brain and challenge her in different ways, and they all kind of work together, as opposed to like other therapies we've done where it's just kind of, we're going to work on this and then we're going to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And it's like with you guys this week, it's like, we're going to do these 5 things and then these 3 things and they're all happening at the same time, and they work seamlessly together. And it's been really, really fun to watch, I think, and just seeing, and really informative too, as far as it is so mind blowing, how all of these things come together at the same time. And you guys do such a good job of explaining it too.
And it makes it doable, where before we go to PT, we go home, I have to do 100 repetitions of something. And we're here, you can do all those, like the habit stacking all on top of each other. And she can do it for 15 minutes and get kind of that same growth and that same stimulation. And I think that's what makes it feel tangible to be able to go home and do again, is that it's not, you're not sending us home with a plan that's hours and hours and hours of work and the things she enjoys to do.
We actually had a phone call
Yeah.
a couple months ago, maybe. Yeah, just like it's like a consultation discovery call, and like on those calls, a lot of times that people are like, "Well, what do you guys do?" I'm like, "How much time
Where
do
do
you
I start?
have?"
Yeah.
Like I might do 20 different things in 2
Yeah.
hours, and
Yeah.
it's all to tolerance. It's all where they're at that time. It's all different ways to activate different areas of the brain and just fire up different networks and different perception areas, and use their eyes and use their body and balance and games, engaging, and so the more things that we can layer, and the office is really set up for that, like just like different modalities that we can stack on top of each other to make things more difficult, more therapeutic, more fun. Those all add up, and so it's kind of hard to like, vocalize or elaborate on what we do for therapy, because it's all based upon where a kid is when they come in. So like on the assessment, if they have reflexes, if they have sensory issues, if they have balance issues, like we're going to work through those as we're able, but sometimes we can kind of reach into that next step and pull that and use that to then develop the lower, and it's so like the emphasis changes as a child progresses on what are we really spending most of our time, most of our effort on. But it's also in a sequence of developmental appropriateness. So we need to be able to feel and control our body, or perceive our body before we can control it. And so, like you see how we kind of start sessions. I tell her it's boring stuff. It's like when I'm in there a half hour, we're doing different movement techniques, different ways of stimulating the sensory systems. That the M field has been really cool for her. I think that's been a big piece. You touched on the lasers, but that M field has been big for her too. Just like developing more tone, more perception of herself, and we can loosen places up, we can strengthen others, we can develop core stability, and we can be playing games the whole time.
Yeah.
And so even though it's boring, like she can still be playing. She can be reading a book or finding Waldo. Learning about the ins and outs of Waldo, which are a little bit strange. But I think that's a huge value of the 2-hour time chunk that we get, because we can adapt, we can add, we can just be really dynamic and intervene with so many different things with different modalities. And so you guys have seen that firsthand. You've been able to come back and observe with her, and just like I see you taking notes. That's super cool too.
My book is full.
I'd be like trying to observe it and then forget it all. So I appreciate the note taking. That's very smart. But and again, her just ability, her willingness, like everything you guys have like put into her over the years, has made these 2 weeks that much more therapeutic. Just like the love, the support, the nutrition, all those things, like all the other therapies have just teed her up to be successful here. So like even though people might not be seeing these huge changes in other therapies, they're still beneficial for a kid. But when they're able to just dive in here, really work through things appropriately, use the office, use the awesome staff that we have, myself excluded from that.
Included.
It's just cool to see how much kids can change. So I appreciate
I like the slingshot. Like I feel like we were on a trajectory, and she was making growth.
sure.
To say she wasn't doesn't give her enough credit, but I think it really just kind of kickstarted it and really gave her that fuel. But
and the way I explain that, and this is probably a best oversimplification, like kids are always going to improve. Like barring, massive toxic exposures, infections, head injuries, things like that. Those are major disruptors. But if you can just nudge that a little bit, they're going to end up in a different spot. And so you've been nudging that over and over and over, and a lot of families are. And so like it's never time to throw in the towel on a kid. Like there's so many things that are good for kids, just the activity and the engagement that you can provide, and it all adds up. And so like for parents, just like keep pushing, like keep putting effort into your kids, keep showing love to your kids, like put your phones down, like engage them. Though that's such a big deal. And so good work, guys. Yeah. You're doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
I think like I can't remember, we've said it to each other 100 times this week, but just like experiencing these 2 weeks and just like, oh man, we wish, what if we would have done this 2 years ago? Or, you talk about like changing that trajectory. Like what if that trajectory could have changed 2 years ago or 3 years ago when we first got her diagnosis and started, down this path of, different types of therapy, like just how would, she's awesome. But just if we would have given her that nudge sooner, you kind of kicking yourself a little bit, but I mean, you don't know what you don't know. And I think that's where this opportunity comes in is, really just trying to give your daughter, your kids the best chance you can. And that's kind of all we're trying to do, I guess, through this process, and being able to take these 2 weeks to focus on her and her growth and not trying to work therapy in around life and school.
Yeah, that
It's a
has
big
been
step.
nice,
It's a
Paul.
big
It's a
commitment.
big commitment,
Yeah.
but it really has been great for our whole family, I think, to just kind of reset and to kind of just pour our energy into it. And yeah, because we do. Yeah, you do the shuffle, right? You go to school, then therapy, then home, then dinner, then home. And it's part of it, but it doesn't always get the emphasis that it needs or deserves, or even the attention to sit back and be like, is this working? Is this where we need to be? But this has allowed us to kind of sit and process where we're at and what do we continue when we get home? What do we maybe isn't serving us right now when we get home? And yeah, that's been good all around for our whole family. But
Super cool. Super cool. And hindsight's 2020, right?
Yeah.
But it's never too late for a kid. And who knows? Maybe she wouldn't have tolerated therapy. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
even if kids don't do great in therapy, there's things that we can do that are very beneficial. But I should have invested in Bitcoin 10 years ago, but didn't do that.
Here we are.
Yeah. No, but I mean,
Yeah.
you didn't know about
Yeah.
it either. Like,
Yeah, no.
and
I had
that's
no
why
idea.
we make these videos. That's why we have these discussions. That's why we like provide this content, because like so many times from parents, like I see my kid, or like that's things, those are goals I have for my child. They're like, I think they could benefit from that. And so like just that exposure,
Yeah.
that awareness is really like what we're trying to build. And like we want to see more kids to help more kids, but then also like getting other providers access to this, like
Yeah.
teaching other people how to work through reflexes, how to use lasers, how to use these different modalities, technologies, set up the office, like work through things appropriately. Like those, I know that's a big passion of Dr. Josh, and it's really cool to see that starting to grow, because you start to, like you were even saying, like, hey, like a friend of ours, they're using lasers at their therapy, and there's kind of these hubs, those resources of these clinics that do things in an innovative way. Like they're implementing all these beneficial therapies, but really the goal is to like have have something like this in every town. Like right now, like there's not many options, but that's growing. That's definitely expanding. And so these chats really help to just give providers, OTs, PTs, different clinics doing functional neurology, working through development, reflexes, SLPs, like it just kind of gives them the nudge to be like, okay, like this is something I want to do. And so that's definitely a goal, a vision from like the top down on this clinic is teaching and helping and reaching. And it's all over the world. Like I have a lot of calls with parents in different countries, and they have nothing like near them. They'll get a diagnosis and they'll say, like, hey, this is what it is. Yeah. And so What's been like your biggest takeaway from this week? If you just had to just boil it down to, because you both have shared like really good observations and like things that I value and like to hear. But what have you? I guess what's the biggest takeaway? It's a very broad, open-ended question.
You're gonna make me cry. Go.
I think just the potential Kinley has and the things that we can do to help, I think has been my biggest takeaway. And learning from you and the therapists and different techniques and different plan. We just got our packet today, take home, and we walk through it, and just that's the biggest, like, it empowers us to affect positive change for her. And at the end of the day, it does come back. You guys are doing great work for 2 weeks, but if we don't hold up our end of the bargain, and helping her the rest of her life, but also with moving forward with that take-home therapy, I think that's been, the biggest thing for us, is just giving us that tool to kind of, outside of this 2 weeks, to move forward and affect positive change, I think, and empowering us and teaching us different things that can be helpful and to do at home, and different, it almost makes you rethink a lot of, we've go home every night and have a kind of like, man, we should do this now, or this should change in our lives at home to better help Kinley. And I think that's been the biggest takeaway for me, as far as what I can use going forward to help her. So
It's much more than a 2-week investment. And I think we were hopeful for that coming in, but to realize the care that comes even after we leave here, and the plan, and how extensive it is, and how user-friendly it is, and it's not just coming and growing, it's like a trajectory, and you're in it for the long haul, and you guys care, and that, I think, is huge. It's much more than just the investment for while we're here, but I think for me, it's the little girl that's walking out of here. She is just confident and strong in ways that we always knew she could be. And she knew it in her heart, and we knew it in our heart, and we just were kind of stuck getting it to like come through, and it's here, and she's here, and you can see it, and you can feel it, and we are very grateful for you guys for helping bring that out in her in some of the simplest ways. I mean, there's a very fancy term for it, but the hula dance.
Yeah, the hula dance.
I mean, she's just aware of her body and the space she takes up in the world, and carries it differently. And that's just something that we've always wanted for her, and it's just a beautiful thing. I don't know.
Well, if it's her leaving that makes you sad, she can stay. Like spring camp, whatever that is. You got to go back to work. She can come play at my house.
Yeah, she's already like scheming when we can come back, so don't worry.
Cute. Thanks so much for your time, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thanks for just bringing that little girl.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it.
yeah, thank you.
You cry on camera and under the spotlight.